All right, guys. Whoa, feels like Christmas morning over here, right? Like it's been a minute since we had a big fight that we could talk about. I mean, there would have been some good fights, respectfully. We just came off the weekend with something we want to talk about as well, a big main event, implications for the middleweight division, of course. But UFC 319 fight week, I'm like, dude, I got to do it right. We got the morning after. This is a big episode here for Submission Radio. I got to get the boys on, get a couple of the boys on to really set the tone for this week. I think I've just done that. I mean, I want to introduce them to you right here. First things up, it's been a minute since I've had a chance to speak to this man. Absolutely kills it. You know his work from Sportsnet, of course, absolutely kills it on the scene. I love the way he's able to capture the essence of a fight week, whether it's the disposable camera photos that he takes, the playlists that he puts together when it comes to fight week and the themes around it, and everything else in between, of course, his excellent interviews and coverage. Aaron Bronsteter, welcome. Welcome to Submission Radio, my friend.
It's been too long, Dennis. I always love joining you on the old SR. So thank you for having me. And yeah, a lot to unpack this week as I'm getting packed up to go to Chicago next week.
Yeah, put your playlist together. We're going to have to look at that later and really dissect it. Also joining me here on the program, what about this? They have a new website. That's right, MMA Fighting, one of the biggest websites in the world when it comes to MMA coverage and all sorts of other things, has a new website. But this man now joins us with the return. The fans demanded it. Heck of a morning coming back. Mike Heck, you've caved to the people. They've demanded it, and you've caved.
I mean, it's in a different form, but yeah, we're doing a little something. I can't do 3 days a week of like an hour and a half on Twitter Spaces. I just can't do it. But people have questions they want answered, so we'll give it to you. You know, give us your best and, minute, 90 seconds, 2 minutes. We'll talk about some stuff. We'll post it on the new MMA Fighting feed, and we'll just do that daily during the week to help the workday go by a little bit smoother,
Just when you think you got the answer, Mike Heck changes the question. Gentlemen, welcome here to the program. Of course, just a quick one for everybody watching live. Make sure you hit join, subscribe, Submission Radio member, helps the channel go on, etc., 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 etc. Before we get to UFC 319, we'll talk a little bit about the main event. What about this past weekend with the morning after? Fluffy, Anthony Hernandez going out there, putting on a hell of a performance. I want to put a little image to his performance, MMA Fighting graphic right here. Look at the way he just dragged. He just dragged Dolidze across the octagon to finish things off here. Bronsteter, did you expect this kind of domination? I mean, Dolidze is a bit of a gladiator. He got absolutely manhandled in this one.
I did. I thought that Fluffy was going to, basically come flying out of the gates, and that's exactly what he did. It's funny. Like, I think that this is a guy who should have been in title discussions by now, but it's kind of a product of circumstance. Like, he hasn't gotten the kind of opponent that levels him up. Like, you look at Reinier de Ridder, who comes into the UFC basically less than a year ago, comes in and gets all of these big name opponents, like one after another, eventually gets basically right at the title contention because he beats Robert Whittaker, who's a guy that if you beat him, now you're in the conversation. Fluffy hasn't gotten an opponent like that yet. And I think that's the only thing that's holding him back, because he's lapping the division. Like, when he's fighting these guys, he's putting a pace on them that they can't keep up with. I wrote yesterday on social media, basically, Roman has Merab in his corner, and he's fighting the middleweight version of Merab. Like, there's probably only two guys in the UFC right now that you can point to and say, these guys have the utmost trust that their gas tank won't fail them, and they can continue to just fight in fifth gear for the entirety of the fight. And I think those two guys, Merab and Anthony Hernandez, they just have this absurd gas tank. And for him to do that at middleweight, you look at bantamweight, flyweight, they seem to have the better cardio down the stretch. He's able to basically put that kind of a pace on 5 rounds of middleweight fighting, which is just absurd.
Yeah, DC kept talking about like Cain Velasquez. This guy's got like the Cain Velasquez vibe, that kind of cardio, right, Mike? Like, when you watch this, like Aaron, I suspect, because I always hear you say great things about Fluffy, but when you watch this performance, it was really like a coming out party. It was almost like, hey, here's a new debutant in the middleweight division, guys. You guys have been missing this. It was crazy performance from him.
Yeah, like Jed and I, like, we joke around, like, we have our boys, like, his guys are like, he was a big DDP guy, like, right out the gate, big RDR guy, like, while he was with one. And Fluffy's been like my guy since the Vieira win. I was like, I'm telling you, like, this dude is going to be a problem once his confidence starts to go up and once he starts fighting people healthy. And that's exactly what he's doing. Like, the Brendan Allen win, and I believe him when he tells me this, he was hurt. He had broken ribs for the Brendan Allen fight and was just like, yeah, I beat this dude before. I'll gladly get off the couch with broken ribs and beat him again. Like, I was that confident in fighting him. And he went out there and beat Brendan Allen, who's a good fighter with broken ribs and banged up. And he was like, I don't have any broken ribs for this fight. So what you're going to see is what fans expected me to do to Brendan Allen. And I got to tell you, this guy, I know we always do like knockout of the year and submission of the year and stuff like that. If there was an end of year award for performance of the year, I don't know if this wins it, but it is in the top 5. Like, I don't know if Roman Dolidze should even fight again after what just happened to him. I mean, he embarrassed him. Like, he did everything he could to almost like humiliate this man up until the finish where he Kane Hodder Jason Voorhees'd him, dragging his dead carcass across the mat before the tap. Like, it was so sick to watch what he did to this man. And Aaron said it perfectly. RDR got the win over Rob Whittaker. He got to fight a top level guy. So now RDR has to return the favor to Fluffy Hernandez because that fight slaps. I don't know if there's outside of like RDR, any of those guys fighting DDP or Khamzat. We got to get there. Like, just give me Fluffy Hernandez versus Roddy or DeRitter. That fight rules. It's going to be electric. It's going to be absolute chaos. And then you have a surefire, like, next guy waiting in line, and it scratches me right where I itch. So Fluffy versus RDR is the fight to make. I need it in my life, and I hope we get it.
AB, is that the fight, Fluffy RDR?
Yeah, like I hate to sound like an echo chamber here, but like everything Mike is saying is like my exact feelings. Like, Fluffy's one of my 5 favorite guys to watch in the sport right now. Since the Vieira win, I'm with you. I've just been on the bandwagon, and he just keeps proving me right over and over again. And what he did to Dolidze last night was basically like utter humiliation. And he just was so far ahead of him. And I think that if you match him up against any middleweight right now, he's probably the favorite. Like, if you think betting lines, maybe against, like, if Dricus ends up beating Khamzat Chimaev, then maybe you would favor Dricus over Hernandez, depending on how he's able to beat Chimaev. If Chimaev ends up beating Dricus, probably, again, like, whoever wins the fight on Saturday will probably be favored against Anthony Hernandez. But I don't think it would be a steep line. And I think that if you opened it with the other guy as the favorite, I wouldn't be surprised if the public action comes in on Hernandez, because like his performances have been so convincing. And, you know, it's funny. I think he got 9 takedowns last night. And I was thinking he should have grappled more in that fight. Like early on, I was like, why isn't he grappling more? Why is he standing with this guy? Because he can take Dolidze down and basically do whatever he wants. And he basically said after the fight at the press conference, like, I think Dolidze is more dangerous in the early rounds. He's so good at those leg locks. I wanted to avoid the grappling. But his grappling is just like, it's so smothering. And, you know, I was talking to a judge today about how difficult it is to score Fluffy rounds either 10-9 or 10-8. Like, because he's so dominant, but like the requisite damage isn't quite there. But he's just so much better than his opponent. And like, there's just no pushback in those rounds before he ends up winning that fight, that you almost have to consider a 10-8 just based on the sheer dominance of it, even though the damage isn't quite there. And you look at that submission yesterday, I at the time I was like, yeah, I mean, I think Dolidze is looking for a way out and needs to tap here. But then you see the replay and I'm like, that looks like it's awful. Like, it's right under the neck and he's just dragging him. And I'm thinking, like, sure, I'm sure that being in the 4th round and having what has just been done to him plays a factor in him tapping, but that just looked like it absolutely sucked.
Oh, yeah. Dude, he did the old bone in the throat.
Roman Dolidze was done.
For sure.
Minutes into the fight. Like, you saw, like, I literally typed into our Slack channel as Dolidze was trying to hit him, and Hernandez is like shaking his head and laughing at him and punching him right back, which, by the way, shout out to Fluffy's hand speed, because that was like a newer wrinkle that I hadn't really seen. Like, I knew he could punch and I knew he was a violent dude, but his striking speed has gotten so much better. He was thumping up Roman Dolidze on the feet too, even letting like Roman hit him and just like emasculating him with his reactions. It was crazy, but you could see the look on Roman's face a little over halfway through the first round. I even typed in our Slack chat. I'm like, Roman Dolidze is miserable right now. And this is before Fluffy started fluffying all over him. And then it just kept taking him out of the fight. And Eric Nixick's trying to pump him up. You could just see how defeated this man was on sitting in the corner. And this is a guy who's never been finished before. And this is like a mercy win. And I think Fluffy was just pissed that Roman kept cheating so badly. But it was like Herb Dean was just like, yeah, man, I don't want to make this worse. Like the beating and the hell that Anthony Hernandez has put this man in is enough. I don't need to be taking a point away from him too, just to add insult to injury. And finally, he's just like, all right, I have to take a point. And then Hernandez is like, F this, we're done here. So it's just unbelievable.
So I gotta get from you guys, because this is a competitive division, right? We've got Imavov, Kaio fighting in September. Paulo Costa's going to be there during fight week. Well, Hernandez would probably beat him, but we got RDR. Izzy's in there, Sean Strickland. So you guys telling me, I want to go to you first, AB. Are you telling me that you're picking Hernandez over basically, or you think that Hernandez would be the favorite over basically everybody outside of the champ and potentially Khamzat right now?
Yeah, I do. I think that he would be the favorite against everybody except for whoever wins on Saturday. And
even the Stricklands and the Imavovs.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. What have I been missing here, guys?
I think this is what's fundamentally wrong with the rankings and how people rank fighters. They look at who they beat and not how they beat them. Like, if you're looking at the performance, who has beaten Roman Dolidze like that? In fact, who's beaten anybody in the top 10 of the division like that, period? Like, who has dominated to that kind of an extent where you look at it and you're like, yeah, that was just an absolute embarrassment. In the cage. And Fluffy's done it to multiple opponents. But everybody's like, oh, well, he beat the number 6 guy, so we have to move him up to number 6 because that's the way that we've always done things. It's like, no. And I made the same argument when Khamzat came on the scene. I said, I think it was his first 3 fights after he beat Mearshot, I was like, you have to rank him because he's beating guys in such a dominant fashion that you have to honor the kind of win that he's having. It doesn't matter who he's beating. If you're beating guys like that consistently, you have to rank fighters like that. Otherwise, they don't get ranked because ranked fighters won't fight them. Like, you're not going to get guys that are like, oh, I'm ranked number 12 and I've earned this ranking and now I want to fight this like killer who's running through the rest of the division. If they don't have a number next to their name, they don't take the fight. Like, Kamaru Usman has said to me that he almost retired at a time because he couldn't get fights because he wasn't ranked and he was beating all these guys and he was smoking them and nobody was willing to fight him and put their ranking on the line. And that's why when you have these kind of performances, you need to escalate these guys above. Like, do you have those rankings handy again, Dennis? Pop those guys up. I hate to put you on the spot if you still have them.
Let's have a look here. I mean, it's a killer's row, right?
Like, so he beat Dolidze is number 8. Me, I'm looking at this. I'm ranking him 6th. Like, if I'm looking at what Hernandez just did, he's 10. He beat 9. I'm putting him up at 6. But you'll see on Tuesday, he'll be 8 or 9. Like, he'll be either ahead of Cannonier or behind Cannonier because, he beat the number 9 guy. It doesn't matter. Like, you look at what just happened. Like, the Whitaker and DeRieder fight was competitive. I think a lot of people thought Whitaker won that fight, even though I think, like, can't really gripe either way with that kind of a decision, that kind of a fight. But, like, I think that you look at what Hernandez is doing, like, you got to rank him in number 6, number 5, somewhere in that area code because he's just, again, lapping these opponents.
But Mike, like, wouldn't you, with RDR, do we want to spoil the RDR train? Well, we got RDR going here. Wouldn't we do like Hernandez and like maybe Robert Whitaker or something, or like something like that? No, why? Why do we want to spoil the party?
Take the fight. Like, people say Strickland. Nick Sick just had a front row seat for what that guy can do. You think Nick Sick's going to throw Strickland to the dogs? And I know Strickland says he'll fight anybody, but if you're smart and you're advising this guy, you don't take that fight. Period. No. Izzy's not going to take that fight. You think Izzy's going to? No, Izzy's not taking that fight. These guys aren't going to take the fight with Fluffy. And it's nothing against them. It's just where they're at in their career right now. It makes no sense.
Look, we are in a great position right now. Like, middleweight has the chance to not be lightweight right now. They have the chance to not be lightweight. They can let the veteran guys who should be out of the championship discussion all fight each other. Robert Whitaker could fight Sean Strickland and Israel Adesanya could fight one of those 2 guys. And we could have these guys like fighting just well-known guys who are out of title contention and try to mix and match these guys. Like, lightweight just kept throwing the veteran in with like the hungry newcomer who just wasn't ready for that spot. And the hungry veteran would win. Now we're just going to waste Anthony Hernandez. Like, he will absolutely murk Robert Whitaker. He will smoke Israel Adesanya. He will destroy Sean Strickland. Like, these are not competitive fights. We have the chance to just do the thing now. Like, rather than do hey, maybe if they each fight different guys, then we can match them up because Imavov might fight Bahalio and then the winner of that could fight for the belt. Like, no, we have like 3 great fights right here. You have the title fight tomorrow. You got the Paris main event. Let's do the next number 1 contender fight and do RDR versus Fluffy Hernandez. And guess what? If That fight happens in like October. The winner of that, whoever's the next available guy, can fight for the belt next. Like, it's all good. Availability is your best ability. I have zero interest in watching Fluffy Hernandez beat up Robert Whittaker. After watching what RDR did to Robert Whittaker and making him so tired, you don't think Fluffy Hernandez is just going to melt that man? He is going to melt Robert Whittaker, and it's not going to be fun. It's not going to be fun and thrilling, but dude, Fluffy and RDR, like Fluffy trying to Fluffy all over a 240-pound man, essentially, because that's how big he looks in there. Like, that is compelling theater to me. Like, that is a competitive fight. I would probably pick Fluffy to win that fight, but I wouldn't be surprised if RDR just keeps dummying that knee right into the rib cage of Fluffy Hernandez and maybe slow him down a little bit. Like, he might be able to slow Fluffy down. None of these guys are going to slow him down. Like, come on. Like, don't be lightweight. Be your own thing. It's so fun right now. Middleweight rocks. Let's put the best guys like in the best spots right now to try to move this division forward.
And when was the last time you could say middleweight rocks? Like, honestly, probably pre-Anderson Silva. Like, it's always just been this.
Come on, Izzy had some nice moments.
No. But what I mean is the division's depth. Like, it's not about championship. Like, I think Izzy and Anderson Silva are great championships, and like they were such a delight to watch in their prime. But when you look at the actual landscape of the division, where you have like 10 legit contenders, close to 10, like, there's a lot to like about this division in terms of the depth right now, because I don't think we've seen this kind of depth in the middleweight division maybe ever.
Dude, Sean Strickland got a title shot after beating a Boost Magomedov. That's where this division was 2 years ago. And now look at this. We could do an 8-man tournament right now if we wanted to. It would be awesome. So yeah, God, Fluffy rules. I'm so excited. So happy that he's in this spot, and RDR get a nice win. And like all the fights that we kind of hoped for just for silly reasons, they're right here. We could just do it now. We don't have to wait. It's beautiful. It's so good.
I will say I disagree on one front with Mike. Like, I don't think we can say that RDR is going to be that much more of a challenge for Fluffy than Whittaker is. Like, Whittaker's a pretty pesky opponent, and I think from a matchup standpoint, Whittaker would actually be a tough matchup for Hernandez, at least a tough puzzle to solve.
I think so.
And I think that RDR, you could say kind of the same thing about. Like, I don't think that the level's that much higher where it's like, RDR is that much better than Whittaker. I mean, we saw the fight again, kind of a coin flip decision. I actually had that fight for Whittaker, so I wouldn't say that like RDR is that much better. To me, the fight that I would just love to see is Hernandez versus Khamzat, like win or lose on Saturday.
Or DDP.
Yeah, I think DDP is super interesting too. Like, I would love to see Hernandez against either of those guys. So maybe like if you're gonna like look at the landscape of this division, I wouldn't like everybody's kind of saying RDR today because there's a matchup on Saturday, but people are gonna like need to remember the fact that one of these guys is walking out of there with a title on Saturday, and one of them is gonna lose. And I think that if you put Hernandez against the loser of that fight, that might be an even more compelling matchup. Especially with like I hate to write off a guy like Chimaev or Caio Borralho, who are also on great runs right now. But there are just so many good fighters right now in this division, and I love it because, again, I don't think, like, I've been watching the sport for a long time, and I can't remember there being this much talent at middleweight in a long, long time.
Yeah. The only reason I say that is mostly with the Whittaker thing is that Whittaker was huffing and puffing, like, around into the RDR fight. If he starts huffing and puffing against Fluffy, I mean, at any point in this fight, he's done.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
He is done.
And nobody makes people huff and puff quite like Anthony Hernandez.
Yeah.
Like,
he's got to Fluffy all over him.
Unreal.
Yeah, he's going to Fluffy him at some point. It just can Whittaker nuke him in a round? Maybe. It's possible. But RDR is just so big. And like stylistically with his grappling, he's so top heavy. And if he can get on top and like offensively grapple Fluffy, like that's interesting to me. That's interesting. I know Fluffy is just, he's a mutant and he can't be stopped. But at the same token, like RDR is a monster middleweight. So I'm intrigued to see like how that all plays out with those two dudes fighting each other. But yeah, Fluffy's just absolute menace.
I feel like RDR might get a little bit tight against Fluffy. But by the way, Robert Whittaker, guys, come on, man. The guy came in with a crappy, I feel like his strategy against RDR wasn't quite there. Last few Robs were like, he was injured, not 100% there. This one, I feel like he was physically there, but strategically, he just made, I don't know, like, I don't feel like he prepared for that knee to the body as much as he should have. And I don't know, he needs momentum. I want to see him get some momentum. Hey, Aaron, Anthony Hernandez is going to fight Jared Cannonier next after he knocks out MVP at UFC 319. What's your reaction to that?
I don't love it. I mean, can't do like what, 41, 42. Let's. It's time.
I'm just telling you what's going to happen. I'm just
Yeah.
telling you. I'm looking into the future. I'm telling you what's going to happen.
I really hope not, because there are guys that are going to lose fights, like an Imavov or Bohalio. Like those are better matchups to me than a guy that's like an older guy coming off a win. Like I want to see him really tested, and I just there aren't a whole lot of names in my opinion that I think are going to be able to test him. Like I mentioned, I think that aside from maybe the winner of Saturday, I think he's favored over everybody else in the division.
Just quickly, while we're on the division, before we get into UFC 319 and the title picture, Israel Adesanya, man. I mean, this Sean Strickland rematch, it was something he was pushing for. We're still waiting to see how much of a suspension Sean Strickland gets. I messaged Sean Strickland. I was like, what's the deal? Like, do you actually not want this fight? He never kind of responded, which is interesting because he's usually like, yeah, man, yeah, I won the fight, blah, 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 blah. So I don't even know if Sean Strickland even wants this rematch with Izzy. Like, he hasn't been like 100% out there wanting it.
He's suspended.
He's suspended, but I mean, it's a big fight. If you're Sean Strickland, like you beat him once, this is another chance to potentially have another big fight. So I'm saying, like, what are we doing? Like, Mike, what are we doing with Izzy next? He's towards the tail end of his career, and I have a feeling that we're one bad loss away from him probably hanging up the gloves. Like, how can we have some fun with him before he goes? Paulo Costa?
Yeah, maybe.
Rematch?
Izzy Whitaker 3.
I would
that
love
would be
that.
great. I would
Thank
love
you,
that.
Aaron. I feel like I've been the only person saying that I want to see that third fight. Even
I
though
wanna
like
see
Izzy
it
won
too.
both. Like I would love. See, that's perfect.
Well, they
Like,
do pay-per-views in Australia. They're going to do one
Yeah.
next year. So, like, it makes sense because you're going to be able to have that, that kind of oceanic main event, or at least co-main event if it's like a pay-per-view, and that people are going to really want to see.
Yeah,
Make
look,
it 5
like,
rounds.
If MVP beats Cannonier, like MVP could fight Strickland, or he could fight
MVP
Whitaker.
Izzy would be interesting.
He could have Izzy. Like,
I think they're friends though, but I don't think that necessarily matters.
like MVP could be like the perfect name to insert into this mix for the Whitakers and the Adesanyas and the Stricklands. He's 38. He's probably not going to get to a title shot because if he has to fight Fluffy or any of those guys, it's going to be miserable for him. So, yeah.
I mean, look at Logan Storley against MVP. I don't like his chances against. And I thought MVP won that fight, but let's just say Fluffy's a lot more active on top than Logan Storley is.
Yeah, like if Calvin Gastelum apparently is fighting Dustin Stoltzfus, like if Calvin Gastelum wins, like you could throw him in there with these guys. Like, let's just do like names we know fighting each other without any real championship divisional ramifications. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. It's
know what would be fun actually? How about Izzy versus Shara Bullet?
Sure.
That's fun.
That's fine. That's
fine.
perfectly fine. Jack Hermanson, like Jack could fight some of these guys. Like,
They get crazy, Mike. Right? You're
veteran.
getting crazy now, throwing just crazy.
He's talking about the lower, like the bottom of the top
Jack
15.
Hermanson. I love him, but
like, do you want to see Robert Whitaker? Do you want to see Izzy fight Iker Malaskarov like on a full camp? I don't really want to see that. Shara Bullet would be interesting. Like, I would like that. So let's have the vets fight each other. Like, it's totally fine. And then we'll let like the cream of the crop currently just beat the hell out of each other, fight for the belt, the way all these divisions should be.
MVP was talking to Fire at MMA Junkie. Where is this video? And he basically broke down that he likes the idea of staying 185 pounds after UFC 319 due to politics. This is what he kind of had to say about
or
the
would
matter.
you rather it been a bit more stable?
No, to be fair, again, it is what it is. It's kind of worked out how it's worked out. I would have preferred to get a fight in the welterweight division. As I said before on Ariel's show, it feels like there's a lot more politics going on in the welterweight division, and everyone's a bit more tentative about who they take to fight, who they fight. And I'm just not at that stage of my career to care enough. I'm just like, give me a good fight and I'm in. And I expected after that last win, I was going to get another good fight, and I was getting names that didn't really make any sense. So middleweight it is. And I'm like, hey, I'm happy to get such a high level fighter, probably the highest ranked fighter that I've had so far. So I'm excited. I'm happy with, the fights that I've had. It might not have gone in the direction I've had, but I'm still happy that it means progression for me in whatever division I'm in.
So, Aaron, I got to ask you, this guy's leaving 170, right? Going from welterweight to middleweight because of the politics and things going on there. Man, middleweight, not much better. We just spoke about there's like 1,000 people that are waiting to fight for the title. He ain't getting the title shot next. Is MVP in this weird position where he just kind of came to the UFC at the wrong time and he switched divisions? And as he's switching divisions, now we got Fluffy, now we got Adesanya, now we got Kakayo, and then Imavov, and then we got blah, 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 hanging around the middleweight division. So he's like kind of screwed in this division as well in a lot of ways.
Yeah, but I don't think his gripe is about getting to the championship. I think that he's just not being able to find opponents, period, at 170, at least meaningful opponents. And that at 185 pounds, there are just a lot more striking-based fighters that will be more stylistically favorable to him. I don't know if Cannonier necessarily fits that mold, but I am curious, like if he is able to beat Cannonier, I think that that's when you can start looking at fights against the likes of like a Robert Whittaker or Izzy or something along those lines that will be more of like a good showcase fun fight with big names that I don't think he could really get at 170 pounds because those kind of names don't really exist at 170 pounds right now, in my opinion.
Mike, if we see MVP see out his career at middleweight at UFC, what do you feel about that? Is that something?
Sure. Like, honestly, like if I'm MVP,
feels like a nothing burger to me, kind of, you know, like it's
but all MVP's talked about since going to the UFC is just fighting a lot. So it's just like, hey, you know, you could fight Jared Cannonier on this card in August, or you could wait till December and fight Michael Morales. Like, what are you going to do? You're going to go fight the dude now, like the better stylistic matchup for you. Because Michael Morales is an absolute monster. So yeah, I don't know who he was being offered, but you know, maybe he was getting offered like Neil Magny or like a Gilbert Burns or something, which is just like, yeah, fine. Like I could win those fights, but Gilbert's going to try to tackle me and try to submit me. And it's just not a thrilling affair when he could probably get like some better names and some more compelling fights at middleweight, because even though welterweight has come a long way and it's like a cooler division, especially at the top, it's just not. Middleweight just seems better. It just, there's a little more buzz behind middleweight. So yeah, I think I'm like, he's fine staying at middleweight because I don't think he's the guy that's like, before I retire, I will not be happy unless I have the UFC world title. He's just like, nah, dude, I want to fight like 6 times and maybe get a Polaris grappling match in. That's all he cares about at this point. So yeah, just keep the man busy and have some fun with them.
I think people were shocked as well because Khamzat Chimaev, as we go into UFC 319 this coming weekend, was talking to our friend Brett Okamoto on ESPN and brought up the welterweight division. Aaron, were you surprised when you heard, like, I think a lot of us have been talking about if Khamzat loses here, well, does he even retire? Like, there's a lot of those kinds of rumors, right? A lot of fighters not sure how long he's hanging around the sport for. Were you surprised, Aaron, when you saw Khamzat saying, hey, I got a new team in place, 170, there's some Australian guy that's champion. I might be moving back down if things go to plan. And he's also talking about the 205 division as well. This guy ain't going anywhere soon.
Yeah, I think that he's looking at it like, how can I maximize the rest of my career here? Because from all indications, like a lot of people say that Khamzat's not going to be around for that much longer in terms of his career, which is kind of a weird thing to say, given that he doesn't have a ton of miles on him generally, at least not in terms of like, you know, in cage miles. I know that he's had some health issues outside of the cage, but like I kind of get what he's saying. Like if he ends up beating Dricus and Jack ends up beating Islam somehow, right? Like now if he feels like he can move back to 170 and he can fight a guy like Jack coming off of the momentum of beating someone like Islam, you know, maybe he wants to do that to make a name for himself and can get down. I mean, he's made 170 pounds before. So I don't know that. I don't think that that's that much of a stretch. And then if you look at 205, I think that, you know, his style at light heavyweight is going to be a nightmare for a lot of guys in that division. So I understand what he's saying, but I think he's trying to aim high right now. But I think that you probably don't want to put the cart before the horse when you're facing a guy like Dricus, who I think is probably the most underrated champion in the UFC right now. It seems like people have never given him his flowers, hasn't lost since he's come to the UFC, has beaten some massive names in the middleweight division. So I think that we should probably wait until Saturday rolls around before we see exactly what Khamzat's going to be able to do from there.
It's interesting, right?
Not to mention there's quite a queue right now at middleweight, like we've been talking about all show. Like, I don't know if the UFC are going to be like, yeah, I think he should fight Jack Della Maddalena when you have other guys at 170 waiting, like a Sean Brady, for example. And I'm sure there are a lot of other names that are just not top of mind.
A guy called Islam Makhachev.
Well, yeah, I mean, that fight's going to happen. But I mean, after that, there are a lot of guys that are still...
Little guy called Ilya Taporia.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
I mean, just think
that's
about
a possibility.
And just the welterweight, Ian Gary, like there's so many guys that are just like on good wins and in great spots to probably fight for the belt. Like all these guys are going to be busy, and the whole Khamzat, oh, I'll go with different divisions. Like, just stop doing that. You haven't even won the belt yet. Please stop doing that. Wait till you have like 6 title defenses, and then we can start having these conversations. Please stop being like, hey, I'm Bilal Muhammad. It took me 12 fights to get to the welterweight title, but one more title defense and I'll go up and fight Dricus. Like, no, defend your belt over and over again. It is way cooler than the shot of you winning 2 belts. I'm sorry. Ilya did a cool thing, and I ain't going to take that away from him. It would have been much cooler if he beat Volk again and then beat John Silva and then beat Diego Lopez and then beat all this incredible crop of featherweights before getting the second belt. So please, focus more on that.
It's the Marvel multiverse, you know, when they started doing the multiverse, and it's like, we don't have to write anything in this narrative because they just came from a different universe. That's what's happening with the UFC Championship division, where it's like, we don't need to fight all these guys anymore. The second we win the belt, we're moving up. We're fighting this guy. We're moving down. We're fighting this guy. We want super fights, you know, blah, 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 blah. The whole thing is crazy. Just quickly, while we do speak about Ilia Topuria, sorry, before we go back to that main event, UFC 319, what did you guys make of Paddy Pimblett's comments about the division? He was talking, this is a Mac Live graphic here, had some comments, obviously, spoiled rich baby for Armin, nothing but respect for Justin, but he doesn't want to fight me. And then now he's not a big Dan Hooker fan after Dan was on this show, I think last week or the week before that, and sort of broke down that he doesn't really want to fight Paddy Pimblett because he doesn't think he's a very good fighter. What is happening next with Paddy Pimblett? Because he did say one thing which obviously stands out. The guy is not ranked highly in the division technically. I don't know how much these rankings really even matter, but Armin, so many other people, Justin, so many other people could be getting this title shot over him against Ilya. Do you really think Paddy's getting this title shot against Ilya next?
Well, I think you have to look at it from the UFC standpoint and say, like, who do we want to give that next title shot to for Ilya? If the answer is Gaethje, then I think you do Arman versus Paddy. And if the answer is Paddy, I think you do Justin versus Arman. Like it's pretty simple.
Arman versus Paddy. You gonna kill Paddy with Arman?
There's 4 guys in the mix right now. Like, so whoever they give the title fight to, like, there's going to be 2 people left standing. Like, it seems like pretty simple to me. And if Gaethje is the odd man out and they end up doing like Arman versus Ilya next, like if Justin won't fight Paddy, which I personally think would be a favorable fight for Justin, to be honest, against Paddy, then I think, unfortunately, you have to kind of pass him over and say, like, well, listen, like, we need people that are staying busy in this division to earn a title fight. So we'll see. Personally, I wouldn't be surprised if Gaethje gets the next title shot, but I think that we're going to find out probably fairly soon what's going to be happening in that division.
Everybody keeps telling me Gaethje's getting the title shot. I don't know about you guys. Everyone I'm speaking to is like, no, Gaethje's the one that's going to get it. There's all this business stuff behind it. I don't know. All
the business stuff is pretty straightforward. Like, he was the next guy in line. They needed somebody really badly for UFC 300. So they put together that BMF fight with Holloway. He lost that fight, and then, like, he's just been in no man's land. And then he came back on short notice. He accepts an opponent change with Fiziev. Wins that fight. Like, he's doing the UFC all these favors, and I think that ultimately
wins a close fight. Aaron wins a close fight with. I don't know.
Hold on. Well, let's look at this for a second. They just did a whole event in New Orleans to celebrate Dustin Poirier, and like Gaethje is just being left like standing around. Like, Gaethje has had everybody's like, oh, Gaethje should retire. It's like, you don't want to watch Justin Gaethje fights. Like, Justin Gaethje is one of the like 3 most exciting fighters ever. Like, he's had, on average, more exciting fights than Dustin Poirier, and we're gonna like hang Justin Gaethje out to dry because like he helped the promotion not once but twice, and he won his last fight. He basically gave up his spot of being the #1 contender. Like, I get that it's like there's a meritocracy here, but at the same time, like, he's doing you all kinds of favors. Like, I understand why he doesn't want to fight Paddy Pimblett next, and he wants like fights that matter in terms of his legacy. Because a win over Paddy Pimblett, you know what everybody's going to say if he beats Paddy Pimblett? Paddy was never that good anyways. Like, that's what they'll say. Look at the guys that he just beat, like guys that are on losing streaks, so like Michael Chandler, Tony Ferguson. The rent came due, and Justin Gaethje beat the brakes off of him. Like, that's not going to do anything for Justin Gaethje. So I can totally see where Justin Gaethje is coming from and why I actually feel really bad for the guy. I think he should get the next title shot. But again, from a meritocracy standpoint, it's probably Paddy next. But again, who's Paddy beaten? And Armand didn't get on the scale for the event where he was supposed to fight for the title. So I see where they're coming from there. So the options aren't exactly the best options for the UFC right now. So I think that you pick any of them, you can make a case.
I don't hear Dan Hooker's name in there. Mike, why are we just not doing this Armand Dan Hooker fight? That's a fun fight. Paddy Pimblett, maybe Beneil, like maybe just give him something. And then maybe just do Justin. I don't know.
I mean, Armin's basically said, like, look, I'll fight Dan. It's fine. The problem is Dan's going to have to do it on his timeline if he wants that fight. Like, he wants September, October. And if Dan's down to clown in September, October, cool. Like, Armin will fight him, and Armin will beat him, and then Armin will go on and fight for the belt. Like, and that's the thing. Armin is going to have to win a fight. So just fight anybody. Like, it does not matter who he fights. He can fight Paddy. He can fight Hooker. He can fight Michael Chandler. I don't care. Like, just fight somebody with a ranking next to their name and get a win, and you're back. Like, you're getting a title fight. But the whole Ilya thing is just so strange because the way people act like with Ilya is that he's had the belt for a year. He's had the belt for like 7 weeks. And he's already like saying things like, if they offer me Armin, I'm vacating the belt. And Armin's like, cool, vacate it. And I'll fight somebody else for the vacant title.
Yeah.
Like,
and I think the general public feels the same way. Like, I think the general public are like not buying into this act at all. And it's like, hey, if you're not going to fight Armin, sure, vacate the belt,
cool.
Whatever.
We'll watch Armin versus Paddy or Armin versus, I'll watch Armin versus Gaethje all day long. That fight rules. Do it for the vacant belt. Like, that's beautiful. I'm fine with that. But like, we just got to do something. We got to just throw Armin in there with anybody at this point.
Maybe
like,
they do an interim belt. Yeah, maybe that's how you get Justin Gaethje in on that Armin Sarukian fight. Maybe like, hey, this guy doesn't want, but then interim belts are stupid. All right. Everything's a mess, guys. We've ruined everything. Lightweight, middleweight, welterweight, all of those divisions are messed up right now. At least heavyweight's happening. At least we have a fight happening for Tom Aspinall. Middleweight, though, massive title fight between DDP and Khamzat this coming weekend. Aaron, I want to go to you first, man. People will talk about the narrative of this fight. Khamzat early or DDP, if he survives, then takes over and wins the fight. What are people missing in this narrative? What do you think are the X factors here that are really going to play out on the night that you're looking out for?
Well, I think that Dricus has underrated power, and that Paddy hasn't really felt, or not Paddy, sorry, we're on the next subject now, Aaron. Khamzat hasn't really felt that kind of power yet. Like, he hasn't really felt what I think a big hitter at middleweight will do to him. That being said, like, the takedown defense is going to be so pivotal for Dricus early because Khamzat, I think, can still go 5 rounds if he is able to dictate the terms of the fight. But, that's always tricky with a guy like Dricus who himself is tricky. So it's a great fight for that reason. Like, I don't have a great read on this fight. I've been able to picked every Dricus fight correctly because I pick Dricus every time. And this is the one fight that I have a little bit of hesitance for Dricus because I still feel like there are a lot of questions about what Chimaev is. Like, how good is he? And, a lot of people point to the Gilbert Burns fight, and a lot of people will point to, the Usman fight where he's had to get through the turbulence. But then you look at what he did to Whitaker, and it's like, wow, if he can do that. Like, I picked Whitaker in that last Khamzat fight because I was like, you know what? If Whitaker keeps on the feet, he's going to be able to outpace him. He's going to tire him out, and he's going to beat him down the stretch. And that's kind of the same way that I'm looking at this Dricus fight, and that's what gives me some pause here because all it takes is Khamzat to take you down, make your life miserable. And we haven't seen Dricus's grappling tested by anybody even close to what Chimaev has been in that realm. So that's what gives me a little bit of pause on this one. And I'm still mulling over exactly which side I like.
Yeah, there's so many questions about Khamzat. For example, what's he going to look like later on in the rounds against someone the size of a Dricus? But I spoke to Dricus, this is from November, and I asked him about the first round in this fight, and this is what he had.
It's going to be absolute chaos. I just think, I don't see him coming in with a different game plan, and me neither. I'm going out there to attack. I'm going there to kill him. I'm not going out there to defend Khamzat's takedowns. I'm not going out there to defend. I'm going there to attack. So I think it's going to look a little bit.
So, Mike, if that's the case, and we got DDP coming at Khamzat coming at DDP in that first round, and his mentality is stuff Khamzat's like domination. I'm dominating Khamzat. Well, what does that first round even look like?
I have no idea. I got no idea. And that's the beauty of this fight. That's why I like this fight so much is I don't know what's going to happen. I love what Dricus and his team continue to say. Like Dricus's head coach talking shit about Chimaev on UFC Countdown is like one of my favorite things.
His head coach is a real character.
He's just like, look, we're just gonna tackle this dude and put him on his back. He goes, look what Gilbert Burns and Kamaru Usman did with him. When they attacked his grappling, they gave him fits. And then he's just like, have you seen this dude striking? I wouldn't even give him a license to box if he was just a striker. His striking's terrible. He's a one-dimensional guy. Like DDP's head coach just running Khamzat verbally is one of the funniest things that I've seen. Having said that, they're right. Like they are right. If DDP just comes like shot out of a cannon and just like takes Khamzat down like a minute into the fight, like that will be one of the coolest things ever. Because then we'll be like, wow, all right, Khamzat has to think about this now. But one of the things that always comes up when people talk shit about Khamzat is like, well, the Gilbert Burns fight and all that stuff. Out of all the wins Khamzat has had, that is one of my favorite Khamzat Chimaev wins right there, because he did not have his fastball that night. Gilbert Burns like probably had the best performance of his career that night, and Khamzat still won. Like he still found a way to win with like just his changeup and like a 50% slider and no fastball.
Yeah, and
Still
dude, that was
found a way to
like
win.
3 or 4 years ago in a different division. Like, what are we doing here? The amount of progression you can make in that amount of time when you're a guy in your prime years like Khamzat is like nobody's taking any of that into account. Like, it's just a totally different thing to look at. And then the Usman fight was a short notice opponent, a former champion, like that you're taking on short notice, who's giving you everything you can handle over the course of 3 rounds. Like there are a lot of weird intangibles that people are just ignoring. And he won. And there are a lot of weird intangibles.
And Gilbert Burns gives everybody a tough fight. Like look at the JDM fight, for example. Like everyone, like Gilbert Burns is a sneaky good fighter. People don't realize.
Yeah, he was Gilbert was winning until he wasn't anymore in the final minute of the fight, and JDM had that miraculous comeback. But from like people that I've talked to, like I interviewed Aaron Pico not that long ago, and I forgot that Aaron like actually trained with him until he mentioned it. He's like, dude, like I'm not just saying this to say it. Because this guy is an absolute wrecking ball right now. Because it's like impossible to keep up with him. So I don't think it's the cardio that concerns me about Khamzat. He is a little brittle in there, which concerns me a little, because even in the Usman fight, like the reason he fell apart so much was not because, I mean, there was some fatigue to it, but he like breaks his hand in the fight, and it's just like, it's in his mind. Like these are the things, like, can he come out of the first 10 minutes of this fight unscathed and stay like relatively healthy compared to when he came in for the entirety of the fight? Because if so, I cannot wait to see round 5 of this fight and what it's going to look like. Just 2 demons getting after it. I'm very excited for it. I have no clue what's going to happen. This is a 50-50 fight for me. Like I just love it so much. And I think some of the problems fans have with each fighter is overblown on both sides.
And just to come full circle here, like we talked all about how Hernandez is so good at depleting his opponent's energy systems. Like Dricus has that same skill because the amount of output that he puts out is like absurd, and he just gets you thinking. And when you're thinking like about what's going to come next, because Dricus is an impossible guy to train for, because I don't think Dricus knows what he's going to do next. He's like a button masher, and like, but he's so good at, like, and so well rounded that he's able to pull it off. And, you know, while I mentioned guys like the 2 guys, Merab and Anthony Hernandez, that have like the total confidence in their gas tank that is not going to fail, like Dricus kind of has that same confidence, except his cardio does tend to slow down at at points of the fight. He's always breathing heavy for the entire fight. Like he's one of those guys like Matt Brown who are just always like huffing and puffing, but like it doesn't mean anything. I love watching Dricus, honestly. He's another guy that I think is probably in my top 5 like guys to watch in the sport just from an entertainment standpoint. So like I can't wait to see what he's able to do, because if he can get Khamzat thinking a lot, that's like what I want to see. Is I want to see Khamzat maybe look really good early, and then, you know, you talked about it off the top, Dennis, is like the first 2 rounds Khamzat, the last 3 Dricus. Like I want to see Dricus get him thinking, and that's when, like you just said, Mike, you know, we've seen a little bit of mental fragility with Khamzat in the cage when things aren't going his way. I want to see how he responds to that, because we've seen him do it and win. But at the same time, like I think that Dricus is kind of a different animal. He's just going to be doing all kinds of wacky stuff all fight.
I cannot wait for this.
It's going to be great. It's a great main event.
Oh,
It's going to be wild because if you think about it, fellas, this way, I don't think this is going to 5 rounds. Someone's getting finished here. And in my head, I'm like, I can't imagine DDP being finished. I can't imagine Khamzat being finished. You know what I mean? These are two undeniable forces. But it's interesting what you said, Aaron, because that's the thing with DDP. That's the thing with RDR, but he doesn't have it as much as DDP because I think DDP is more dangerous. It's that gameness of wanting to be in there and the love of being in these wars. When you watch him cage side, like you have Aaron, and I'm sure you have Mike, even in that Israel fight, that was the best version of Israel I've seen in a long time. DDP just loves being in those wars where it's blood, sweat, both guys are going for it. He has a love for it that a lot of other fighters just lose as soon as there's adversity. I'm curious to see what Khamzat's like when he's in the fire with DDP. As we wrap up, final question for both of you fellas. I'll go to you first, Mike. If DDP beats Khamzat here, I saw Chael talk about how he needs to be ranked in the top 3 pound for pound. But in terms of legacy, I mean, DDP's run has been incredible. Like, we didn't really give it the respect that it deserves. Look at the names that he's beaten on the show. We've got Sean Strickland on there a couple of times. He beat Izzy when Izzy was, I thought he was very sharp there. Robert Whittaker, and he sort of made his way up through some really tough names here. If he adds Khamzat to this list, does he start entering the conversation of, all right, like this is an Anderson Silva. This is a guy that's starting to come for Israel's like take as one of the best champions of all time. Like, where does this put him, do you reckon, Mike, in your opinion?
The Israel discussion becomes a little more interesting. I'd still like to see like another defense or two before we're like really put it over the top. He's so far away from Anderson. It's not even funny. Like, so I'm glad you positioned the question in that way, because title defenses matter, and it doesn't matter what the era is. It just matters. And it is what it is. But the Israel conversation becomes very, very interesting if he goes out there, beats Khamzat, and especially if he just dummies him. Like, if he just wins like a splitty, like he did, like kind of like the first Strickland fight, then it's like, all right, still a very good win. He beat Khamzat Chimaev. It's great. But if there's controversy, you know how people can be. But if he just goes out and it is like it is an unquestionable win, whether like a 49-46 or he just finishes Khamzat Chimaev, then it gets a little more interesting. And then the pound for pound conversation becomes really interesting, because you can make a compelling case that Dricus du Plessis is the number 1 fighter in the world if he goes out there and smokes Khamzat Chimaev on Saturday night. And I would not be mad if you said that. And in fact, if he does finish Khamzat Chimaev, I'm breaking news. He will be my number 1 pound for pound fighter if he finishes Khamzat on Saturday.
And Aaron, just before you go, I think there's something to be said for Dricus, because he always takes all the toughest fights ahead of him. He's always willing to defend his belt. There's none of this like, I don't want to fight this guy. I'll come back around to it. I think there's a lot to be said for that. That's a bit of an Izzy Adesanya mentality. Let's just defend the belt against the toughest guys out there.
Yeah, I agree. In fact, if I'm Dricus and I beat Khamzat, maybe vacate the title and move up to 205. Like, he'd have a pretty instant shot at the light heavyweight championship.
Don't say that. Don't say that. We said everything's dying.
At least he'll have 3 title defenses, and then like,
yeah, but I think it would be. But don't you think it would be time to get out? Like, that would be like, if you beat Khamzat, now you've got these other guys knocking on your door. Maybe it's the right time to get out. And
yeah, don't fight Fluffy.
Yeah, don't fight Fluffy.
Move up to 205.
He
was like impressed by him. He loves Fluffy.
Move up to 205 and then try to become a 2-division champion. Like, he always said to me early on in his career, even before he was champion, he goes like, my goal isn't to become the middleweight champion, it's to become the greatest fighter of all time. So how do you do that? I mean, I think that maybe beating all these up and comers at middleweight would probably be better for his legacy than moving up. But we always talk about these 2-division champions and how much weight that carries. And I think that he would match up stylistically very well against the top of the 205-pound division right now. You know, that being said, I'd rather see him stay at middleweight and defend the title, you know, more times. But yeah, if he ends up beating Chimaev and then beats 1, maybe 2 more guys, like, that's a pretty impressive resume. Like, that's when you start talking about Anderson too. Like, I know that Anderson was like beating guys in dominant fashion, but I think that the level of competition is a lot higher right now than it was when Anderson was fighting. And maybe that was a product of just how much better Anderson was than everybody else. And I should be giving Anderson that credit. And Anderson is probably like my all-time favorite fighter. Because before I started covering the sport, I was just such a big fan of his. So I don't say something like that lightly. But if he starts beating, like, if he can beat like Khamzat, Fluffy, like Imavov, Caio Borralho type guys, And a lot of these, like RDR, like if he starts beating guys like that, it's like these are like real monsters. So we'll have to see how it plays out. But let's not put the cart before the horse. He's got a really tough. He's the underdog on Saturday, so let's see how it plays out.
Yeah, and if Alex Pereira somehow beats Ankalaev, man, Alex Pereira is obsessed with getting this DDP fight. They want that fight. I could totally see how a DDP Alex Pereira fight could happen. Or maybe Alex Pereira goes up to heavyweight. Anyway, everyone's moving divisions. I don't know who's in what division half of the time, guys. This is it. Of course, check out. Okay, Aaron. So you're flying down to Chicago. Give me your top three songs from your Chicago playlist, and then tell me what we can expect from your coverage.
I don't want to do songs. I'm an albums guy.
Okay, hit me with it. Hit me and Mike.
All right. So from my playlist, my top three.
Yeah, you created a Chicago playlist, right?
Yeah. So like Sufjan Stevens, Illinois.
Okay.
Let's think. What else do I have on that playlist?
See if I can bring it up here.
Yeah, see if you can bring that up.
You shared it on your OnlyFans. Let me see if I can find it.
Yeah, Care For Me by Saba. It's a great album. Underrated. And I'm trying to remember what else I have on there. Oh, an alpha beta Tology, or whatever it's called, by Cap and Jazz is a great album too. What do we have?
We got a bunch of this. The only one I know is Lupe Fiasco. Mike, do you know any of the Chief
Keef? Wow, that's terrific.
I'm gonna put Diet Blonde by Smith Westerns is like such an underrated, underappreciated album that I'm gonna like put that in my top three. Because I love that. I've listened to that album probably more than any of these other albums that I have listed here. Hit the arrow. There's another page. There's two.
There's another page. Let's see.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
So, Sufjan Stevens, Illinois.
Wesley Willis.
Yeah, we gotta have Wesley Willis on there. Yeah. Well, I've been headbutted by Wesley Willis before. Yes, I've been headbutted by Wesley Willis. Yeah, at one of his concerts when I was like probably 19 or 20 years old, and I went and saw him in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and I got some Wesley Willis headbutts. And I gave him my phone number. I never thought anything of it, and my mom, he called my house. And my mom picked up because I was like, whatever. I was living with my parents in the summer. And she was like, "There's a Wesley Wilson on the phone for you." And he told me how nice my mom was. If you're unfamiliar with Wesley Willis, he was like a street artist who had paranoid schizophrenia and recorded songs that kind of all sounded a bit the same with like a keyboard. Very interesting character in Chicago lore. But like when I think Chicago, I think Wesley Willis.
Oh my God!
Like, I'm so proud to be
on the show with you. With Wesley Willis,
all the sexy secrets. All right, and of course you'll go coverage, so make sure to check out Aaron and then Mike. Heck of a morning. That's back. New website. That's Cooking BTL. Watch along pre-show, people's pre-show. Yeah, all the stuff. What's happening on MMA fighting?
I whooped Batman's ass. I whooped Batman's ass.
Dennis, you got to look up Wesley Willis as soon as we're done here.
Give it Sorry, guys. The end of every Wesley Willis song is just terrific. It's always like
rock over London, rock on Chicago.
Yeah, rock.
And then it's like a slogan for a company. Yeah, Wheaties, Breakfast of Champions. Yeah.
He's the best. Yeah, just follow us at MMAfighting.com. It's gonna be a good week. I'm super excited. I'll also be going to PFL on Friday. So,
oh yeah, that's right, man. Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing about.
I've not covered a PFL event live ever, so this will be the first time. They're actually like somewhat close to where I live, so I could just drive up there. So yeah, lightweights rock, and there'll be a good lightweight main event. And Rabadonov is one of the most underrated fighters in the sport, but one of the most talented fighters in the sport. We'll have a new women's flyweight Grand Prix winner crown, and perhaps maybe we set up a big fight with Dakota Ditcheva. Maybe we have something cool happen there. I don't know, but yeah, it should be a very fun week. So stick with us, and Jose will be in Chicago and doing what he always does. So
are they in Hollywood? Is that where you're driving to? Hollywood?
No, they're in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Oh, okay.
Far cry from Hollywood.
Well, Hollywood. We're talking about Hollywood, Florida. Not Hollywood, Hollywood, Florida.
Yeah. I think next week's card is in Hollywood, Florida. But
if you could drive there, that wouldn't be too. That would be 9 hours.
Yeah, it's like 9 hours. Charlotte's like 3.5. So
okay, that's better.
All right. Well, I'm just going to jump in here, guys. Thank you so much for joining us here on Submission Radio. Check out the boys, some of the best of the game. Again, thank you so much, Mike Heck, Aaron Bronsteter, UFC 319 Fight Week. It is here. This is in PFL as well. We are back in a big way. Make sure to follow the boys, and we will catch you guys throughout the week through all our coverage. Catch you guys next.